every single life matters.
The primary responsibility of government, first of all, which is security.
We bank mostly on intervention rather than prevention.
Democracy is a government where power resides with the people.
Hello and a very warm welcome to you. This is you.gov and it is all about you and all about the government. On the show, we talk about government functions, we talk about government policies and happenings in the nation, Nigeria. We also talk about your duties, your obligations as a citizen. What do you do to develop your nation? Of course, you have a role to play. I have a role to play. I'm Olomu-Agbodo. First, we're going on a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's 3,653 days snowballed into 10 years of victories, 10 years of impact, 10 years of beauty, 10 years of excellence, and 10 years of successes. Thank you, our dear esteemed partners. You made the years worth its while. For your unflinching support, your seeds of love, for standing with us through and through. Thank you. It's our festival of vibes.
This week, we are revisiting issues pertaining to security and personal safety of Nigerians. This has become imperative due to continued calls by citizens on the government to do the needful in securing their lives and property. And on the streets of Lagos, Nigerians spoke about their security concerns.
Let me start with the issue of rape. I want to believe that those people that are involved in raping, they are not normal. I believe that they are possessed. Because even animals, when they want to make love, there's a kind of foreplay. They don't just jump into themselves and then continue to have sex. There's a sense of belonging, that this is a male, this is a female. Even animals know. So how can a normal human being, for example, a boy, go into a female, just like that without a consent? So they are not normal.
What I think about the issue of rape and security problem in Nigeria, and something has not been done about it because they felt that they don't have saying due to the situation we find ourselves. To say the fact, we need to look into it. Because, for instance, even let's forget about the aspect of the recent lady that just raped, because it happened in the church, which is very bad, because we cannot say a church in a worship place cannot be is not enough, as in there is not enough security for somebody to read or to do other things, worship God. You understand? It is it's something different entirely. But when we look at the issue in different way, some of us lady, we need to really work on our own self in terms of our dressing, the way we approach, as in we behave in the society. Sometimes we use our own hand to draw this calamity upon ourselves.
It's very unfortunate, but like we all know, Nigerian and politicking in every area and affairs of the government, there are just persistent things that is going on in Nigeria. So we all know, even the government is aware of this continuous practice. And for me, I would rather prefer the government to look at the issues, than just dancing around it. That's my own point of view. And I hope the government will really do something about it.
welcome back. Well, if you just joined us, this is u.gov, and we are looking at security happenings in Nigeria. And of course, we're not just going to talk about security in a generic sense. We're also going to profile solutions to ending the crisis in the Northeast, ending the crisis in different parts of Nigeria, and of course, giving you tips on how to protect yourself when you find yourself in some suspicious circumstances. And this week, we are joined by a distinguished legal practitioner who is also a security consultant, and he is the DG of the International Institute for Professional Security. Is Tony OFOYETAN, and he'll be talking about some of these security happenings in Nigeria. Take a listen.
I think in terms of my general reaction, talking about rape first, it's very painful, very traumatizing to still know that or realize that in this, generation, we could still have incidences like that going scot-free. So it's very painful. I put myself in position of an average parent that are victims, or their kids rather are victims of rape. And you just imagine the psychological trauma that those parents will be going through. The child herself, may not get through those experiences in life. And if we are not careful, those are things that eventually even affect marriages. You see those type of children finding it difficult to believe in men. You see those type of children finding it very difficult, even when their legitimate husband try to make sexual advances. You see them reneging, you see them withdrawing, thereby having adverse effect on their marriage at the end of the day. Of course, we've had arguments to and fro as to what type of punitive measure should be melted on an average rapist. But I think that the National Assembly should really brace up and come objectively with stern punishment that can, be a major deterrent. It may not eradicate it, but it will be a major deterrent. Also, parents should also be able to speak out for the sake of their wards. It's better that their words get out of that scenario as quick as possible, because when you harbor it and you keep it, you make it so personal and so private because of the fear of stigmatization. It has, a long-run adverse effect on that child, especially in the future. You see that child being very suspicious and apprehensive when any man is coming close to her, be it father, be it brother, be it uncle, and the like. And that is not the best of any relationship that anybody look forward to. So I think that the parents also should be able to speak out. And I think as a society, we should understand that when a lady becomes a victim of rape, it's not her fault. And we should not stigmatize her. We should not look at her with that type of impression that maybe she's wayward or she's loose and the like. Rape is rape. There's no justification for rape. Whether a lady dresses indecently, whether a lady is half naked or not, it's not your business. You see her naked, what do? You go your way. That does not become an opportunity for you to bounce on her. It's even very painful to talk of even the pedophiles. In short, at times I wonder on what ground would an adult be even thinking of marrying a girl of 13 years. Under whatever guide, that is pedophile. And those type of things should not be encouraged in our society in any way whatsoever. There is no legal justification, there is no medical justification for such act. Where a grown-up man will be marrying a 13-year-old, 12-year-old girl in the name of whatever. It's not done. It's at that age, even medically at that age, we are told that they are not ripe enough for sexual escapade, sexual adventures. But you see, unfortunately, that even some of these legislators, some of the people that ought to be defenders of the youth and the children, are this set of people that are putting them in their homes as second wife, third wife, or fourth wives, which is very painful. So I think that that is another area that we should really look at. Rape, to me, pedophile is as good as rape. As far as I'm concerned, if you marry any underage lady, you are a rapist. It doesn't make any difference, because at that age, the question is, does she have the intellectual capacity to consent? Does she have that mindset matured enough to consent to such sexual relationship? As far as I'm concerned, the answer is in the negative. So if you want to bring it to religion, that your religion allow you to marry even a 10-year-old baby and the like, good enough. If you marry that 10-year-old baby, allow her to be up to 18 before you start having sex with her. No problem about that when she's 18 years and above. But anything below 18, as far as I'm concerned, is pedophile. And that man is a rapist. It should not be accommodated, not in contemporary society that we are. And those men that are so weak to the extent that they are looking for vulnerable women to ransom for sexual exploits and the like, I think they should really look at them psychologically. I think there are certain aspects of their brain that has been loosed. There's a level of insanity in their brains, because I don't know why an average man should be able to approach a lady and both of them agree on their sexual adventure. Not that you take advantage of her. Some will go to the extent of even injuring, harming the ladies and all those stuff like that. I think those set of people have mental problem, a very big mental problem, which I think the psychiatrists will be able to attend to them, apart from the legal punitive measures that will be meted to them. Well, you know the saying that the idle man or the idle hand is the devil's workshop is very apt, especially during the pandemic. But one thing is that one-man crime was not well pronounced during the pandemic. But you have a group of boys that came together in the name of 1 million madmen, calling themselves 1 million boys, you know, terrorizing communities, raping, in whatever excuse. To me, it is not the excuse that there was pandemic. If you look at their age grade or age group, you will see that they are children that are under the apron string of their parents. They have not even started fending for themselves. So on what ground will they now be talking about looking for money to feed themselves? They are supposed to still be under their parents. Their father and their mother are still taking care of them. So what is the excuse of gathering yourself together, moving from one house to the other to rob people? So as far as I'm concerned, that is your pure act of criminality. Taking advantage of the fact that people were at home and that people will have cash at home, knowing full well that they will need the cash because they are not going to be moving up and down. Immediately after the so-called easing of the pandemic now, you will see that naturally if you go to people's home now, if you enter people's home, the maximum you see some, even if it's a multimillionaire, maybe 10,000 naira, isn't worth the whole act of robbery. You come, even the old people that are going about in the name of 1 million boys, moving from one house to the other, how much were they able to steal? Now, if they have to divide it among themselves, at the end of the day, I'm not sure that some of them will get home with 500 naira. Now, the question is, was it really worth it? So, you see, at the end of the day, yes, those are a group of criminals that were just greedy boys. Kidnapping has always been there, is still there, and I pray that it's not going to be there perpetually. That is my prayer, you know. So for the period of pandemic, it's not as if crime increased. But what increased was the foundation for crime increased. But the act of criminality didn't increase. The rate of robbery didn't increase. Apart from the issue of the 1 million boys, there was no outstanding case of robbery. The case of kidnapping was at the barest minimum. Of course, there was no case of bombing, there was no case of attacks and the like within the heart of the pandemic period. But foundation has been laid for post-COVID crime and criminality. And that's the way I see it. No, let me say security is everybody's business. There is nowhere in the world where security is the exclusive responsibility of the government. For example, the government is not going to help you to fix the door in your house. The government is not going to help you to put burglar in your compound or put your gate. The government is not going to be responsible for your access control mechanism. So let's get that straight. All security measures are not the responsibilities of government. But you are talking of measures that are of common interest, measures that are of common benefit. For example, we want a safe and secured society. In other words, if you are a criminal, commit the crime in your room, commit the crime in your bedroom. Don't go to the next neighbor to commit that crime. Now, it is when you move out of your immediate house to the next neighbor, then there should be a security agency outside there waiting for you, either before you get out, or you are on your way there, or when you get there. At least within this three moment of transition, then somebody should be able to ask you, where are you going? What are you going to do there? Why are you going there? And all those stuff like that. Now, if we now bring it back to the issue of whether, as it is now, they have that capacity. Numerically, the police is overwhelmed. We have about 400,000 policemen to police 200 million Nigerians. For goodness sake, it cannot work. It doesn't work like that anywhere in the world. That means you are talking of an average of 400,000 Nigerians to one policeman, which is very absurd. It's very crazy. So if you look at it from that perspective, that means that we have a long way to go. And in attending to those type of situations, there are two ways to it. The government can use the technological approach, which does not require too much of human inputs in security, or the government can also increase its manpower. So those are the two ways, and the government can also apply both. But if you ask me, I will say that as it is now, both are imperative, both are very necessary and very urgent too. So the government should think of increasing the numerical strength of the police, and should also think of proper funding of the police in terms of arms and ammunition, in terms of equipment, in terms of technological, upping of the game. So, and in terms of equipping the police generally, we should have by now, we have a police station where you have, e-policing. You enter a police station, you are able to see that it is well structured, everything is automated to the extent that you have a computer system, you can have a biometric fingerprint of everybody that comes to police station. There's a central data bank that is able to relate. When you come to a police station to give a complaint and your biometric is taken, it should go straight into a central data system to know what is your crime history. Who are you? Are you a Nigerian? Are you not a Nigerian? What is your legal status in the country and all those stuff like that? Now, what is your crime history in the country? In every police station today, we should have that type of situation. Now, but for us to enjoy that situation, the issue of power will come to place. That means that the government has omnibus responsibility to make sure that the society works. As it is now, the society is still at analog level. We have not moved an inch. We are just still at the level we were 20 years ago, especially when it comes to policing. How many of those police stations can boast of even common desktop? How many police stations can boast of desktop? But when you go to civilized country, you look at the way they do policing. Nobody needs to ask you too much of question. Your ID, please. Once your ID is scanned, everything about you is known. So it's as simple as that. But today, look at, you are still busy talking about paper. Wear paper and pen to write your complaint. And when you finish writing your complaint, they will ask you to pay for the paper and to pay for the pen that you use in writing your complaint. In this new era, in this new age, I don't think it is worth those stress. I think the police should move away from that level, should be able to think digitally now, instead of this analog and very sluggish approach to policing.
That's Tony OFOYETAN talking about security happenings and reacting to the spate of violence that we saw in the wake of the lockdown, people in different parts of Nigeria lamenting that they were being attacked by some young persons who felt that they had no other thing to do but to break into people's houses and rob them of their property. But what is the way forward? How do we end this, and what do we do from now on? We want to go on a quick break. When we return, we'll be giving you some more on this issue.
It's 3,653 days snowballed into 10 years of victories, 10 years of impact, 10 years of beauty, 10 years of excellence, and 10 years of successes. Thank you, our dear esteemed partners. You made the years worth its while. For your unflinching support, your seeds of love, for standing with us through and through. Thank you. It's our festival of vibes.
Welcome back. We still have Tony OFOYETAN, who's been talking about security happenings in Nigeria, and now we'll be asking him some questions on personal security, personal safety. What should you do when you're confronted with some suspicious circumstances, when you're in places that you should probably not be at a particular time, or places that situations just generally turn around in moments? What do you do? He's a security expert, and of course, he will give us insight into some personal safety tips.
It depends. When you talk about personal security tips, there are different circumstances that determines or will create different responses. But for an individual, first, the location you stay matters a lot. You look at where you stay first before you think about, for example, if God has blessed you above average and you stay in a locality where predominantly it is a poor locality, I don't think this is the best of time for you to roll out the best of your cars. I think it is better if you have 2-3 cars to look at the most modest among all your cars to use for now. Basically because I'm sure you know that people are still angry. Some have lost their jobs. Some are going to lose their jobs. Some can't even come back to business. Some businesses are locked. There are many homes that are hungry and all those stuff like that. So you see that when they see anybody that displays affluence, they believe that you are one of the problems, and anger can be vented on such set of people. So that is one. But you as a person in your own home, fortify your home, have a good perimeter fence, have a good wiring system, have burglary alarm if you can afford it, have a panic alarm if you can afford it. Know the necessary emergency number of the police, fire service. Make sure that they are very handy. Be very friendly to your neighbors around in the event of emergency and you are raising alarm. Somebody should be able to recognize and help. In your community, you should be able to raise your own little security team that will be a backup among yourself in the event of anybody being attacked within your neighborhood. And if you have to go out, for goodness sake, make sure that you don't work in the night. Don't go out too early, don't come back too late. Make sure that it is within working hours that you are moving, within times that you know that illumination is good enough, because crime are better perpetrated in the dark. So if you have that philosophy that crime are better perpetrated in the dark, then you avoid movement in the dark. I think these are some of the things that we should learn to do. Then, of course, our utterances. Make sure that you don't discuss businesses in public places, especially when it has to do with money and volume of money. Make sure that it's not done in public places, not done in places where your communication can be breached. Those are very, very germane as far as you are concerned. If you have to travel, make sure that you enter vehicle at the appropriate place, at the designated place, because there are one chance too. There are vehicles that are involved in kidnapping, either for money or for ritual purposes. So when you want to travel for any reason, make sure that you convince yourself that the vehicle you are entering is the right vehicle. If you get in and you are not comfortable, look for an excuse and get out like almost immediately. As simple as that. For the security agencies, all I will just say is that apart from the Almighty God, the Nigerians depend on them. We believe in them, and our prayer is that they would also learn to believe in us, treat us rightly, treat us with respect. Don't assume that we are criminals by seeing us for the first time and relate with us as such. It is not our responsibility to prove our innocence. Let them assume that we are innocent and treat us as such, except we prove otherwise. I think that will become a better public relation with us as citizens of the country. They should always know that the gun that they are carrying, it is our money that is used in buying that gun and that bullet. And it is not meant to kill us. It is only meant to kill the adversary of the state. Thank you.
Well, quite interesting. Do you know that even if you are holding a key, that could be used to defend yourself if you are confronted with some of these situations? But we pray that you'll never be found in situations where you'll be crying for help. But we have some more tidbits for you in terms of personal security tips. There you had it, some personal security tips that you can use at any time. Of course, we are praying that we do not find ourselves in certain situations, but you need all those tips for your personal information. That is what we got on our tidbit segment today. And we'd like you to join our conversation because we're wrapping up now. We'd like you to join by using our hashtag YouGov, hashtag LoverPlus, and we would like you to download our app so that you can join us and watch our programs on the go. Our app is LoverPlus, and you can download it from any of the mobile app stores, and you can also visit our website on www.loverplus.tv. You can send us an email on info@loverplus.org, and you can send comments to the number that will be shown on your screen now. I'm Olomu-Agbodo. God bless you, and God bless Nigeria.